this year's Springboard, which is leveraging strategy and technology. I'm speaking today on defining moments. Defining moments. A defining moment is a period in time where you make a decision that has the power to influence the rest of your life. A point in time where you make a decision that has the power to influence the rest of your life. And so today, I'm going to tell an amazing story that ties up with the theme for this year's Springboard, which is leveraging strategy and technology. I will share an amazing story of strategy, technology, and wealth creation. In the year 2008, a Canadian musician named Dave Carroll was traveling from Halifax to Nebraska in the US through Chicago Airport. And during the transit of his journey, the baggage handlers, instead of passing on the baggages one to another, seemed to be throwing the luggage and catching it. And as a result, his designer Taylor guitar, valued at $3,500, fell down and the neck got broken. He subsequently reported it to the airline and asked for compensation. His claim was that he had estimated that it will cost about $1,200 to repair the guitar. The airline's response was that he reported it but did not report it within the 24 hours timeline that is required for them to legally take a report seriously. So he missed the 24-hour deadline, and for that reason, his complaint was not taken. And for 9 months, he engaged with the airline, impressing on them to replace or repair the guitar. After 9 months, they finally said no. And this is the final no. On July the 6th, 2009, Dave Carroll decided that the only asset he had in life was his music. And so, if the airline would not entertain his complaint, he would use his only tool that he had to make his case to the whole world. His dream and his ambition was that if 1 million people watched his song on YouTube, in a year's time, he will be very successful at amplifying his complaints. And so he posted a song called United Breaks Guitars. He was a musician. His guitar got broken. The airline was United Airlines. So the song was called United Breaks Guitars. Vision: in 1 year, I need 1 million views on YouTube. Day number 1, by close of day, United Breaks Guitars had 150,000 views on YouTube. In a month's time, it had hit 5 million views. In 3 years' time, it had crossed 10 million views. As at this morning, it had done 17.8 million views on YouTube only. Now, subsequently, after the release of the song, the shares of the airline were reported to have fallen by 10%, a total value of $180 million. But that wasn't the end of the story. Dave Carroll said he will release 3 songs. So this was only song number 1. He released song number 2. By what title? Same title. United Breaks Guitars. Song number 3. He released a book. He was invited all over the world to speak about customer service, and the topic was, you've got it. So now Dave Carroll, from a musician who was about to give up on his music, he actually had applied for a job as a firefighter because the music seemed to be going nowhere. One incident, one experience, and the man became not just a musician, but an author, a speaker, and a customer advocate. What is the lesson in this for all of us? Amazingly, he spent very little on the video. In fact, he got a few volunteers to help him, and the budget for the whole video was $150. And yet, Dave Carroll's career was turned around completely. As we gather today at Springboard, our theme, leveraging strategy and technology, is simply saying 3 things, 3 pillars that will be key in your life going forward. One of them is strategy, one of them is technology, and the third one is wealth creation. And that is why our 3 resource persons spoke so eloquently about these 3. But I want to take a few minutes to take Dave Carroll's story and tell you my own observations from Dave Carroll and how they relate to your life, my life, as people who want to make an impact over the next decade and beyond. If you will make significant progress in life, if you will seize those important moments that are unique, that are special, that are different. Friends, not every day is the same. Some days are different. Ask David, who woke up one day in the wilderness, forsaken and forgotten, and by the evening he was a national hero because he had defeated Goliath. Ask Joseph, who woke up in prison and by that evening was prime minister. One day can make a difference in your life. And so when I say defining moment, I mean that there are days in your life when you come across significant opportunities that, when taken, can turn your life around. It could mean meeting somebody. It could be an interview. It could be a job opening. It could be the first day of an internship. It could be anything. But one day can make a difference. Let's say it together. One day can make a difference. Tell the person next to you, have you heard? One day. Tell them just one day. Like today. Like today can make a difference. Do you believe it? Then put your hands together for yourself. So what are my lessons from Dave Carroll? Just 3 of them. Number 1, strategic intent. A clear strategic intent. Let me borrow from Georgina, who spoke earlier, and say that the most successful people in life are those who have a very clear idea about what they want to do. Let's get it straight. You will not succeed in life by accident. Nobody wakes up and says, before I realized I was CEO of the company, or I was successful at what I was doing, I ask a lot of questions, and questions are good. And in my interaction with several accomplished CEOs and leaders, I find that the most defining ones are the ones who actually set out to succeed and work to succeed. I recall talking to Kweku Beduado, who's now CEO at Stanchart in South Africa, and he mentioning that the first day he walked into Stanchart in Accra, he said to himself, I will become CEO of this bank. And he didn't stop there. He went to the present CEO, or the then CEO of the bank, Vishnu Mohan, and said, Vishnu, I want to become CEO. What does it take to become CEO? And I'm sure many of you will say, now that was suicidal. I found out to my pleasant surprise that when I asked the CEOs who gathered at our Festival of Ideas last year, what will you do if one of your subordinates walks to you and says, I want your job, what does it take? Several of them said, I will show him or her what it takes. True leaders are always available and ready to share the secrets of success. So Vishnu sat him down and showed him exactly what it takes to become CEO. And in exactly 10 years' time, he was CEO of the bank. May somebody craft a dream today and realize that dream. So, the first thing we see from Dave Carroll was a clear intent. He says, I am putting this song out on YouTube and I'm looking for numbers. He wasn't looking for money. His first desire was for numbers. He wanted 1 million in a year. 10 years later, he's gotten 17.8 million watching that video. But the good news is that after getting the numbers, the fame, the money, and everything else has followed. But his first strategic objective was numbers. Somebody say numbers. So, what is your aspiration today as you sit here in Springboard? Somebody says, I just want a job. Listen, I finished university 2 years ago. It is getting desperate. I want a job. Somebody says, I want an education to the highest level. Somebody says, I want to be famous. There's nothing wrong with it. Somebody says, I want to publish a book. Somebody says, I want to marry a husband or a wife. Amen. Somebody says, I want to learn a skill. Somebody says, I want to raise money or earn $1 million before I retire. Somebody says, I want to invest money. Whatever it is that your intent is, it must be clear. Let's all say clear. Let's say clarity. Now, it is not enough to say, I want. There are 5 questions that everyone must ask when you try to jump from where you are to where you want to be. Really, strategy is all about that big jump from where you are to a new level that is desirable, something powerful, something beautiful. So the 5 questions that everyone must ask in crafting your strategy: where am I now? Where am I now? So you are a student, a second-year student. What do you have? Where are you? So the first question is, where am I? Second question, where am I going? So if you are trying to raise $1 million, that is where you are going. If you are trying to get a job, that is where you are going. If you want to improve your language, that is where you are going. First, where am I? Secondly, where am I going? Third question, how do I get there? How do I get there? Anyone coming to Tamale from Accra can come by road. They can come by air. And there are some other options, including inland water transport through Bupe, and then you branch and then you come. You can go through different means. How do I get to my destination? You can get $1 million from investment. You can get $1 million by selling property. Of course, we won't recommend by stealing or corruption. So, how do I get there is question number 3. Question number 4, what do I have? What do I have? And that includes your relationships, very valuable asset, your language, your education, your experience. What do I have? And the 5th one, what do I need? What do I need? So, number 1, where am I? Number 2, where am I going? Number 3, how do I get there? Number 4, what do I have now? And number 5, what do I need? I call these the 5 strategic questions that everyone must ask to be able to actualize your dream. That brings me to technology, and particularly to social media that Comfort spoke about so articulately earlier on. And my point about technology is very simple. It must be relevant. Strategy must be clear. Technology must be relevant. You will not need every technology in this world. Find out what you actually need. And what you need may be different from what I will need. Because technology is simply about using tools and processing actions for practical purposes and to solve problems. So what will solve your problem, the tools that will solve your problem, may be different from what will solve my problem. So find out what you need. And the key is relevance and effectiveness. Let's say it together. Relevance and effectiveness. One more time. Relevance and effectiveness. I don't need to understand the algorithm that runs Facebook. I'll leave that to the programmers. I just need the end product and to work with it. Relevance and effectiveness. Many people get fascinated by the complexity of technologies. But look at what Dave Carroll chose. 1, he didn't have a lot of money, so he chose free technology on YouTube. Secondly, he was engaging people, so he approached using social media. Thirdly, he was telling a story that was very graphic, and so he didn't use an audio, he used a video. All these are simple questions and answers that if you don't apply yourself to, you can jump into something because somebody else is doing it, and you won't get the results, and you wonder why it worked for somebody and did not work for you. Dave Carroll could have gone to the studio and recorded his music and produced CDs and sold them. But believe me, I've watched the video over and over and over. If he had gone that way, he would have failed abysmally. The video is not even complex. It's just a message telling a story. So, considering that he was an entry point person, he went for the technology that will work for him. Somebody here wants to learn how to speak, go and bookmark TED Talks. Every day, listen to one. Experts in speaking, they speak for 18 minutes, and you learn from them how they stand, how they talk, what they do, what they don't do, and that becomes your school. Every day, 18 minutes, one TED Talk. You will definitely get better. Is there anybody here who is shy like me? You are shy. You don't like public speaking. Oh, own up. How many? A number of you wish you could speak better. When you win the 100 Ghana cedis airtime or the MiFi, just download and view TED Talks and improve. Somebody wants to take a course online. Go to Coursera or any of those places and make that your home. Every day you are there. Somebody else wants a little knowledge every day. You don't have time, but you say, if I can get a little every day, I'll be fine. Sign up to the Springboard SMS Academy, or go to the podcast zone and look for Springboard Zone. And every day you can get something little you can participate in. For every need that you have, there is a technology that is suitable for you. Even for Facebook, that is very pervasive and that is very strong, and that is, as you want to say, the grandpapa of them all. You need a philosophy to succeed on Facebook. You would rarely ever find Comfort and I post something that is not inspirational. It will either be something that has to do with faith or with motivation. Put it together and it must be inspirational. That is our philosophy. If you see anything else, it's the exception. The core is a philosophy of inspiration. That is how come you can be walking in a town in Germany, you have not been there before, and somebody sees you and says, I know you. Why? Because you have become a subject matter expert in your field. You can't do everything, and you can't be everything. So choose your message and your philosophy. Even for WhatsApp, the most effective use is bringing together a network of either old schoolmates, church mates, people with like passions or interests, and leveraging that one for mutual advantage. So the key with technology really is about relevance. What is relevant to you and how do you use it for advantage? The final point is about economic advantage, what we call wealth creation. So, how did a man who was about to give up on his career as a musician use one day to turn it around? I'm sure there are several people who are at a point, either listening to us online, here in the conference, who are saying, I feel like giving up. Things don't seem to be working for me. Dave Carroll was at that point. How did he turn it around? Interestingly, after he published United Breaks Guitars, within a month, 10,000 people sent him their own story, their own complaints, their own experience. So automatically, he became an ambassador or a champion for people who had problems and no one wanted to listen to them. And somebody will say, listen, I have a challenge. I don't have money. I don't have connections. I believe with all my heart that everyone has a seed. In fact, as we gather here today, permit me to say that this particular edition of Springboard is physically reaching 10,000 people in 4 zonal events across Ghana. But even more interestingly, is bringing together over 1 million people digitally. and you say, wow, I wish I would have a conference and have 1 million people watching digitally. What you would not wish for is that this is a result of 12 years of consistently pursuing the same vision. So on the 13th of January 2007, we gathered at the Osu Ebenezer Presby Hall in a small event, and we're excited that people had actually traveled to come and listen to how to start the year right. That was the first team. And the rest, they say, is history. So today, as we gather here in Tamale with so many people participating across the world, let me thank our sponsors who make it possible for every one of you to participate for free. And if you appreciate them, when I mention their names, help me show some love. Let's appreciate MTN. I want to hear a Tamasco. I want to hear a UDS. I want to hear every one of you give them a round of applause. Let's appreciate EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Appreciate Enterprise Life. Appreciate First Bank. Appreciate Data Bank. Appreciate Persol. And appreciate all our partners and service providers. One more time, let's put our hands together for them. And it's okay if you are listening at home to also clap for them, because they make it possible for you. But the point is this, that as long as you hold the dream and pursue it with determination, with commitment, and with passion and strategy, you will get major stakeholders to gather around you. Let me personally, on behalf of myself and Comfort, say thank you again to all our sponsors. We truly appreciate you. So for the person out there starting and saying, when shall I also get sponsors? When shall I also get partners, big time corporates to support my dream? How can I overcome all the obstacles I'm facing to get there? Jim Rohn has a very nice way of saying it. He says, if you really want to do something, you will find a way. If you don't, you will find an excuse. Jim Rohn says that things that you really want to do in life, you will do them. And really, let's be honest with ourselves. Haven't you done something that you really want to do, either good or bad, and surprise yourself and say, did I really do this? Because you really wanted to do it. So let me ask a question. How many of us really want to succeed? Let me see by hand. How many of us want to make a dent in Ghana and Africa in the next year? How many are saying, God, give me understanding, give me help, give me wisdom, give me diligence to be able to excel and make an impact in my generation? How many of you? Why don't you put your hands together for yourselves? Because you have made a public announcement that you will make a difference. Turn to somebody, tell them no excuses. Tell the person no excuses. Let me conclude by showing you how little Dave Carroll had when he started. I sat down to calculate all his net assets that were deployed in the project called United Breaks Guitars. And it was 5 little seedlings or seeds. Number one, he had a story. How many of us have a story? A story or an experience? There you go. Dave Carroll had a story. Number 2, creativity. How many of us are innovative, creative? Let me see by hand. Creativity. You are given something and you turn it around and you do it differently from everyone else. The third asset that Dave Carroll had was friends. Friends who helped him record the album literally for free. Gina spoke about relationships, and Dave Carroll had friends. How many have friends here? Relationships. Wonderful. So you have 3 out of the 5 assets. The fourth one was $150. That was all it took to record United Breaks guitars. In CDs, that is 675 CDs. How many can raise that amount in capital? 675. There you go. And the final thing Dave Carroll had is something all of us have, and that is the internet. Can I challenge everyone listening to me that Dave Carroll was not better than you when he started? He wasn't better than you. The only difference between he and you is that he leveraged strategy and technology to create wealth. That is the difference. As I bring down the curtain on my presentation, let me just invite you. Salome, every year when we come for Springboard, people say, when will we see you again? Next year? Gina, they say, next year, we will see you again next year. Gillian, they make it sound like, I remember one day standing here, Radak, in the evening, we closed at 9 for the evening sessions. And we had been signing autographs and interacting till about 11. And I recall very much standing with KSM out there, and somebody asked, he had waited for 2 hours for his turn to ask a question. And his only question was, when will I see you again? And he literally asked the question with tears in his eyes. For all those asking, I wish Springboard were every day. I have good news for you. By the power of technology, you can have Springboard every day. And so to close, let me invite you every Sunday evening between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Join me on what we call the virtual university. It is the only university that matriculates every week and graduates every week. And then you come again next week and matriculate again. 1 hour university. Every Sunday, 7 to 8. Second one is the Springboard Zone podcast. Go to any podcast service, either on your Apple or your Android, and then look for Springboard Zone. You will find over 200 free resources for you, audios. The third one is our motivational books. We've written about 24 books, very good books on different subjects, books about mentoring. You find this book very helpful, Mentoring for Success. Books on career. This book is called Career Starter Pack. You will find it out there. And then books on investment. This one says, My First Lessons in Investment. Get these books and they would help you. And then the final invitation is for our SMS Academy. Again, you can sign up to the data message every day or to the voice message every day by following the prompts that have been provided on your screen. Just dial *844*4*3# and you will get the voice prompt. So these are the resources that are available to you. Take advantage of them every day. Let me conclude by asking a question. If you have a story here, if you have had an experience here, if you are at that point where you are looking at your career and saying, where do I go from here? What are my options and what are my opportunities? The good news I have for you is that a man about to shut down his career met a defining moment and his life was turned around until today he's going all the way up. May your story also be the same. May today mark the beginning of an upward climb for you. May you climb from heights to heights, from glory to glory, and from success to success. May your story be beautiful, and may we meet you 10 years from now in the international conferences, and may you say it all began at Springboard. Thank you, and God bless you.